let's have Loren start. Loren, you go.
Oh wow! Surprise. So level 42. Not a band that I found on my own. I had this really cool bass teacher back in high school, and we were looking for. I think this was more of an exemplary album because there's no way in hell I can play like that. So it's not like I was picking up those bass lines, but when it came to like showing off, stylistically what is available to bass players if you like really go down that road. You'll have to forgive me. I don't know the names of the musicians, but I think his name might be Mark King. I don't know, but absolute monster of a bass player. And I don't know who exactly he's influenced, but I know that the ancestry is similar for a lot of bass players, and that like, a lot of that sort of new age funk came from the classics. So, it wouldn't surprise me if, say, like Jamiroquai had listened to these guys, at some point, because these guys are 80s. Jamiroquai was like late 90s, early 2000s. So similar sort of like pop funk fusion where, where the emphasis is on, having something that's a real bop. But, it's got those funk roots, and it also gets surprisingly proggy at points. They've got a very jazzy palette, which, makes it kind of holds your interest in a way that like, I might be dividing myself here, but I feel like funk and punk have similarities in the fact that they're oftentimes simplistic and to the point, where they're like, hey, here's this groove or here's this like riff. We're going to absolutely fucking drill it into the grounds, and that's going to be the song, And, it works great, but like, I like when you're able to just sort of, take things more, into different directions. So these guys are sort of a neat sort of 80s sort of fusion bands that, I mean, heck, I didn't know who these guys were until my teacher was like, hey, check out what this guy can do. And I know I talked about the bass player a lot, but really the whole, like, none of them are slouches. They're all just really, really tight. So yeah, and I just thought it'd be a fun listen more than anything. Like it's fucking jam. I like that album a lot. Yeah.
Lauren, it's interesting you said that they have sort of a jazz palette, because this album, I kept drawing comparisons in my head to First Light by Makoto Matsushita that Jet suggested a few months back, which is, very much like a city pop, like Japanese jazz kind of album. But I kept drawing like sort of mental comparisons in my head of like, oh, that sounds like that song. That sounds like that song. But a fun listen for sure. I mean, it totally delivers. If the premise is like, hey, here's all this cool instrumentation that we can do, and here's all of these like, fun riffs that we've got going on, and here's all the skill that we have as musicians, like it really delivers on that premise. So I really enjoyed this listen.
Yeah, James, I'm glad you said that. It definitely reminded me of city pop at times. I was like, wow, this album is so 80s, but like it's got like all those 80s vibes, kind of like that late night driving, but with more of the funk and even the jazz in there. Yeah, it was good. I really liked it. My impression was like this album is really freaking 80s, which is awesome.
Like, how some albums are kind of like timeless, where you're like, wow, this could be anything. This album, you're like, nope, that's the 80s. Oh, like, yeah. There's no damn question.
Which is like, great. Which is cool.
It's got that glossy production, like, like kind of like. Well, it reminds me a lot, like, who would like this? Donald Fagen, from Steely Dan. It's very
Donald Fagen and Mark Greenspan.
Yeah, exactly. So like it has that like kind of production cleanness to it, slickness, and I love it. And you can hear all the instruments super well, super clean, and they're all just super tight musicians, and they're playing so fast. It's so fun to listen to. You know what I mean? It's intense stuff.
You got to watch out not to speed if you're driving to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like you're just hugging the bumper of the car in front of you.
Yeah,
And not even
I
on purpose.
might get up from my bed too quickly and run into my desk.
Yeah.
I saw online that level 42 is a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference. If you guys ever read it. But like,
okay, I mean, I see it because, you know. Oh,
'cause,
really?
yeah. So the story is that in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the answer to like all the questions of the universe is 42.
It's 42, yeah.
So yeah, that was a fun time on Wikipedia.
That's
So
fun.
is it
Actually, sorry,
their
I
whole
know off
name,
the top of my head.
so like their name is sort of like we've reached Nirvana kind of thing. Like this is like the answer.
No, we are the answer to all of your questions.
I got a question for you guys. Did you find this? Was this on Spotify?
Yeah.
Interesting. It's not on Apple Music, but they have
Ooh.
every other album by them on Apple Music except this one.
I feel like
Like,
this is
what?
karma for you picking a Neil Young album.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys had to. Okay, good. I feel good
Yeah.
about that now.
Yeah.
I also
Um,
saw that there were no like their big hits weren't on this album. This was their first album, right? But
Yep.
like a lot of their bigger songs were on some of their other albums. But so I'm excited to listen to those because I thought this album was pretty good and there are some songs, but they're probably maybe not as poppy as the later ones. I don't know.
I honestly don't. It's been such a long time. I don't know if I remember their other albums. This is the one I really gravitate towards. I didn't know they had hits, honestly.
It's got that nice emotional connection for it. Your teacher being like, "Hey, like, here's what you could do," and kind of like that inspiration kind of moment.
Yeah, play for 30 more years and you might sound kind of like this guy. If you're lucky.
all right, give it a score.
Time to rate it or
Oh wait, sorry. Before we rate it, I gave out awards to all of our albums this month. Okay, so yeah, so this album will receive the award for Matt Jetski's Local Classic on the Eights. No, sorry. Let me start over. I totally read that wrong. I totally wrote that wrong. All right, this award is. We'll edit that out in post. That's a post thing. All right, the award for Local on the Eights Classic Album of the Month, because this album kind of reminded me like I was watching Local on the Eights, you know, but it was like bopping. You know, Local on the Eights, on the Weather Channel.
I don't know. Is it a Weather Channel thing?
Yeah, it's a Weather Channel reference.
Oh, okay. The viewers will understand.
Every 8 minutes they give you the weather and it like plays this like sweet jam while you like see what the weather is.
Oh, okay. All right.
I know exactly the kind of thing that you're talking about, but that reference specifically is a very deep cut.
I did not deliver that very well either. That was a very.
I loved it.
But yeah, that's the award of the month for level
right,
40.
I can see it.
I give this an 8.5 out of 10.
Oh.
8.5. Really, really solid album. It's pretty airtight. I can't think of anything I dislike about it. It's got a lot of catchy hooks. The songs are different, you know, some of them. There is a lot of similarity. And I think that's why it's maybe not a perfect 10, because, you know, sometimes it sort of feels like you're listening to, I don't know. I mean, it's very much a vibe. You have to be in the mood for that kind of album. Instrumentation is as tight as it gets. Really good composition, you know. Yeah, 8.5 out of 10. Yeah.
Love it. That's a great rating.